You've felt it before, that subtle but sharp energy directed at you after a small success, the backhanded compliment from a colleague, the joke from a friend that has a bitter edge. That is the sting of envy. It is one of the most ancient and poisonous of human emotions. But what happens when you don't react with anger or insecurity? What happens when you meet their veiled hostility with an unshakable, almost serene calm? Their envy often transforms into something else, something deeper, a confusion that borders on fear. The title of this video is not an exaggeration. Your stoic calm is, quite literally, terrifying to an envious mind. Why? Because your peace is not a passive state. It is an active force that dismantles the very foundation of their worldview. This video will dissect the psychology of envy from a Stoic perspective. We will explore the 3 reasons why your tranquility is the envious person's greatest nightmare, and how understanding this dynamic will empower you to protect your peace without guilt. Before we begin, I want you to go to the comments and think about a time you felt envy yourself. What was it really about? Was it about a thing, like a car, a house, a job? Or was it about a feeling, their perceived confidence, happiness, or freedom? Let's explore the kryptonite of this destructive emotion. Reason 1. Your calm invalidates their entire belief system. The first and most fundamental reason your calm is terrifying to an envious person is that it proves their entire philosophy of life is wrong. The envious mind operates on a single core belief. My happiness and self-worth are dependent on acquiring external things. They think, if only I had that promotion, or if only I had that relationship, or if only I had that social status, then I would finally be content and worthy. Their suffering, therefore, is not their fault. It is the fault of the world for not giving them the things they need to be happy. Then you appear. You, the aspiring Stoic. You may have less than them in material wealth or status. You may face setbacks and difficulties. And yet, you possess a quiet contentment, a tranquility that does not seem to rise and fall with the tides of external fortune. Your Stoic calm is a living demonstration that peace, worth, and happiness are products of an internal state, not an external acquisition. This is not just annoying to them, it is existentially terrifying. Your calm is a living refutation of their life's central premise. If you can be at peace without the things they are so desperately chasing, it means the objects of their envy are not the true source of happiness, and if that's true, it means their constant suffering is not the world's fault. It means their suffering is a choice. It is a product of their own mind, their own judgments, and their own flawed beliefs. This realization is a psychological earthquake. Think of it like this. The envious person is trying to get warm by frantically trying to steal blankets from everyone else in the room. You, the Stoic, are sitting calmly in the corner, warmed by a fire you have built inside yourself. The very existence of your inner fire makes their frantic, miserable struggle for blankets seem absurd and unnecessary. They fear your calm because it reveals the futility of their own game. Reason 2. Your calm makes you uncontrollable. Envy is not a passive emotion. It is active. It seeks to rebalance the perceived injustice of the universe. An envious person doesn't just want what you have, they often want to see you lose it, so that you both end up on the same level. Their tools for achieving this are emotional and psychological. A backhanded compliment to sow self-doubt, a piece of gossip to tarnish your reputation, a subtle provocation to trigger an angry outburst that makes you look bad. They are trying to manipulate your emotional state to bring you down. Your Stoic calm is a perfect shield against these attacks. Because your self-worth is not dependent on their validation, their compliments and criticisms lose their power. Because you practice separating events from your judgments about them, their provocations fail to trigger an emotional response. You see their attempts for what they are, the desperate maneuvers of an unhappy mind. You do not get angry. You do not get defensive. You remain calm. To the envious manipulator, this is terrifying. They are playing a game of emotional chess, trying to trap you, and you are simply refusing to sit at the board. All of their carefully planned moves are useless. Their most potent weapons, guilt, shame, anger, bounce harmlessly off the armor of your tranquility. A person whose emotional state you cannot influence is a person you cannot control. And a person you cannot control is a frightening thing to someone whose sense of power is derived from emotional leverage over others. As Epictetus said, "Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice." You are practicing to become invincible. Imagine a puppeteer who pulls the strings, expecting the puppet to dance to their tune, but you have cut your strings. The puppeteer is left holding limp, useless threads, staring in a mixture of confusion and fear at the puppet that walks on its own. They fear your calm because it means they have no power over you. Reason 3. Your calm exposes their own misery. The final reason is the most profound. Envy, at its core, is a form of self-loathing projected outward. The envious person is often deeply dissatisfied with their own life, their own choices, and their own character. But facing this reality is incredibly painful. It is far easier to project this inner turmoil onto an external target. They think, "My misery is not because of my own inaction or poor choices. It is because that person has an unfair advantage, and their success is a constant, painful reminder of my failure." Your stoic calm acts as a high contrast, silent backdrop. It is a still, quiet lake. When the envious person unleashes their negativity, their bitterness, their frantic emotional energy, it is reflected back at them with perfect clarity in the mirror of your tranquility. Your calm doesn't judge them, but it creates a space where their own character is exposed in the harshest light, not to you, but to themselves. This forced self-confrontation is terrifying. It's easier for them to label you as arrogant, cold, or fake than it is for them to acknowledge the ugly reflection they see. They must find a fault in the mirror because the alternative, admitting that the reflection is true, is too painful to bear. They fear your calm because they fear what it reveals about them. The Stoics taught that vice is its own punishment. The envious person is already living in a prison of constant comparison and resentment. As Seneca wrote, "Envy is a sore that sores the man who uses it." Your calm doesn't inflict any new pain. It simply makes the sound of that sawing, which was always there, audible to them. Your role is not to be their therapist or their savior. It is simply to continue being a virtuous example, which is the kindest and most quietly devastating thing you can do. Your stoic calm is not passive. It is a force. It is feared by the envious because it systematically dismantles their entire reality. It invalidates their belief that happiness is external. It makes you uncontrollable and immune to their manipulation, and it serves as a perfect mirror, forcing them to confront the true source of their suffering, their own character. Do not shrink from this. Do not dim your inner peace to make others feel comfortable in their turmoil. Your tranquility is not an act of aggression, but it is an undeniable act of power. The goal is not to be feared, but to become so grounded in your own virtue that the envy of others becomes what it truly is, a sad, irrelevant noise from a world away. Envy is the tax the unhappy levy upon the content. The Stoic response is not to evade the tax, but to become so wealthy in inner peace that you simply don't notice the fee. Now go back to your comment, thing or feeling. Reply to it with this commitment: my fire is within. It is a declaration that your warmth comes from your own character, not from the things you can acquire from the world. If this video helped you understand the profound power of your own peace, subscribe to the channel.